We have Mermay, an illustration challenge featuring mermaids throughout May. It's a great excuse to revisit 2023, the year I managed to complete the entire challenge, and to talk about my painting process in watercolor style but done digitally. At the very beginning of May, we went on a long weekend getaway and I had absolutely no plans to take on the challenge. There was neither time nor the right conditions. But I did have a sketchbook, a pencil and my iPad with me, and while Bartek was pursuing his passion for birdwatching, I pulled out my sketchbook, and that's when the first Mermay sketch was born. I took a photo of it with my iPad and for convenience decided to add color digitally right there. I envisioned it in watercolor style, so I opened Procreate with my watercolor brushes and finished the whole piece in just a few hours, mainly while riding in the car. It went so smoothly and pleasantly that I went on to create more pieces in Procreate and then in Infinite Painter on my iPad, and after returning from the trip also in Rebelle on my Huion canvas. Even though I used different programs and brushes, the process was similar across all apps. I'm also glad I managed to maintain a consistent style and capture that traditional watercolor look. So what did the process look like? I started with a sketch in my sketchbook, usually quite literally on my lap. I used a soft blue pencil, alternating with a red mechanical HB pencil for more detailed lines. While traveling, a photo of the sketch taken with the iPad had to be enough, but once I was back I scanned the sketches. The sketch was imported into one of the graphic apps where I would lower its opacity, and on a new layer set to multiply mode using the same sketch color I refined the details. Then I merged the two layers and carefully cut the character out from the background. Since I applied color on clipping mask layers in multiply mode, meaning the color wouldn't spill out the shape of the mermaid underneath. That really sped up the painting process. I typically use 2 or 3 clipping mask layers with color in multiply mode. If the shadow were too intense, I could always reduce the layer's opacity. I also added a non-clipping layer to let the color bleed outside the character's shape here and there, mimicking what often happens with traditional watercolor. In Procreate, I use my custom set of watercolor brushes, most of which work in multiply mode. For sketch refinements, I used my soft pencil and 6B pencil from Procreate's default brushes. For the first color layers, I used brushes that allowed blending colors like wet paint would, and then mainly used brushes in multiply mode. That means each stroke over an already painted area becomes darker. These brushes include paper textures and stains that give the illustration a watercolor feel. The process in Infinite Painter was similar, except I didn't yet have my own watercolor brush set at that time. I was just starting to make some. For sketch refinements, I loved using the Proco pencil, so I mostly used brushes from the default watercolors folder, some of them naturally spread out, creating interesting darker edges. But I will struggle a bit finding a good brush for details there. The Infinite Painter isn't so stable as Procreate, but it has a lot of advanced functions that Procreate doesn't have. One of them is the ability to add an empty layer and use the smudge tool with sample all layers enabled, and you can add smears and blurs without affecting the original layer underneath. It's really cool. It makes the whole illustration even more watercolorish. In Rebelle, the brush behavior is different from all the other apps. Brushes spread more organically and the role of water and the direction of flow becomes much more significant, making the process more unpredictable and much closer to real watercolor and just fun. Here, even more than in Procreate or Infinite Painter, clipping masks above the main shape come in handy to prevent the paint from spreading outside the character, but again, it's worth letting it spill in a few spots for that authentic look. I talked more about Rebelle in previous videos. If the program interests you, it's worth downloading the free demo to see what it can do. My only complaint, no iPad version so far. And that's how I ended up with 31 illustrations for Mermay. My first fully completed monthly challenge. I was never successful with Inktober, by the way. I think I managed to pull it off thanks to choosing a technique I feel comfortable with, and of course the theme itself. Mermaids are hard to get bored of. Please let me know what is your favorite art challenge and if you have done Mermay before. and traditionally till the next time.